All right, so over the next couple of weeks, we are going to be talking about special scenes. So we are going to be digging into Chapter 9, which is a really long chapter. So we're breaking it up over a couple of weeks, or 3 weeks actually, worth of information. So the first section will be covering aerial and autopsy photographs. So the idea here with aerial photography is we want to get up over the scene. We want to show the whole scene. When you've got something going on, we like to show the interrelationship amongst various aspects of the scene. Where is this? Where is that? How do we identify what is information? What is the interrelationship between some objects? It's kind of like the idea of really giving a good overall of the scene. From time to time, we end up with like an overall of a room, and you're in that one corner of the room, so you can't see the whole room. So we do the other corner, and you got to flip through all these things. Well, in a room, we are limited by the fact that the room has a ceiling and we can't get up above that. But in the real world, we can just keep going up as long as there's nothing preventing us, no overhangs or power lines or something. Our limit, though, is the ability of, what do we have access to get us up high? Typically, we think of aerial photography as, using some sort of aerial vehicle. So over the years, airplanes have been popular, helicopters. Some agencies are lucky and they have their own air units, so they have helicopters or they have small planes. Sometimes we have to go and rent them. The State Patrol runs a couple of airplanes. Really, there's not many helicopters here in Wisconsin besides the medical ones. So, it's difficult for us to get up in the air. Oftentimes, if we do need to, it's what we end up doing is going out and finding somebody who is willing to fly us, that we, pay them a fee, whether it's we go to one of the local learn to be a pilot schools, or a private pilot who somebody knows who's willing to lend us their plane and their time to fly us and get us up over the scene. The other option that most of us have access to is to just stay on the ground and get ourselves up high. It could be the fact that we contact the fire department and we use a really tall ladder to get up over the scene. It could be the fact that we have access to, say, a tall building. So like that first photo, that was a crime scene in a parking lot, just getting access to somebody's apartment or somebody's residence, up high in that building, or a business up high in that building, looking out a window and getting a shot down, getting up on the roof. And from time to time, maybe we these days are getting into the world of drones. So we might, be utilizing a drone to get up over a scene. There has been some pushback as relates to drones in use of law enforcement. There's some folks who, are anti-police, and they sit there and they hear drones and they think about military applications. And, the local cops, we're not going to be dropping bombs from drones. But you got those weird conspiracy theorist folks out there who get upset about drones. So I tend to call them aerial camera platforms, and then you don't get as much pushback. Another idea is, if we're not trying to show evidence itself, don't forget that you've got, Google Earth, or there's a couple other programs that have, aerial mapping, satellite imaging. I believe Bing, the Microsoft search engine, has it. Yahoo probably does too. So what we can do here is we can get a satellite image of a neighborhood, and again show, like this one is showing the location of where something happened at one time and something happened another time, and bikes are found here, crime scenes here. We're able to show the interrelationship of objects and interrelationship of locations within a city. So you can actually show like a city map, but not just show a generic map, but actually show the houses, the trees, roadways, rivers, things that just don't appear on a regular map can be displayed otherwise with a satellite image. All right, so let's transition into autopsy. Autopsy photography really is not that much different than general crime scene photography. We're looking at the fact that we're going into the autopsy suite with our medical examiner. They're oftentimes going to be taking their own pictures. Sometimes, we're allowed to take our pictures. Sometimes we just have to use theirs. Sometimes they ask us to take them for us, or ask us to take them for them. It really just depends on who the medical examiner is and what the facts of the case are. But if we're going with the body to autopsy, bring your camera along, and you might be snagging some images. Just keep in mind, a big part of the autopsy is treating the body like it is a crime scene. So we're going to need to do overalls, mid-ranges, close-ups, and close-ups with scales. We're going to grab images of the whole body. We are going to grab images of, parts of the body to show interrelationships, to show, where we are in the body. And then we're going to have close-ups of the individual pieces. And then as those pieces come out, we will be taking close-ups of them. As those pieces are dissected, sometimes we'll be taking pictures of them. If we need to, have things scaled, we will be adding in the scale after we get that original photo. One of the skills that a lot of people sometimes don't think about as it relates to autopsy, and that is worth really mentioning, is the identification aspect. Getting some good photos, looking at that straight on picture of the person's face and that really good profile. From time to time, we are not able to identify people because they are carrying their ID card with them, or because they have, identification on them in some way, shape, or form. And so we need to get good pictures of the decedent so that we can show them to family members if we suspect that it is someone, provided that they don't have extensive facial damage. If they do, then there's some other issues that we will have to worry about. So one of the parts of the autopsy process is getting some good identifier photos. So we want to, get above and get a really good straight on look at that person, a good portrait, so to speak, and also get both side profiles, because, there are things about folks that when you look straight at them versus when you look at them at the side, that might stand out to a family member, especially when we start dealing with piercings, like an eyebrow, or not an eyebrow, but like an earring, maybe it would be an eyebrow. How the facial hair is formed, how the neckline is, all those things can really help and aid in a family in making an identification of a decedent. Something else, again, if we've got injuries, if we've got some decomposition going on, don't forget the unique identifiers like tattoos. So, going in and getting images of tattoos, even getting some scaled images of tattoos, just so that we can have the ability to show what somebody has. Be cognizant. We talked about this earlier when we talked about victims' intimate parts. So tattoos might be on or near or adjacent to intimate parts. So we do need to still be cognizant of draping and potentially protecting the private parts, the intimate areas of the body. With a tattoo such as this on the ankle, we might have to do 360. We might have to get photos from multiple angles to get all the way around. We also want to be looking at birthmarks, surgery scars, etc., etc., etc. Things that can make somebody unique. There are some folks out there, where you have friends who get similar tattoos on similar parts of the body. So you could have, multiple people with the same or similar tattoo. So this is why we need to get multiple tattoos. We need to be checking all aspects of the body, also the scars, the marks, other things that could become very unique to this individual compared to this one tattoo that maybe a friend or somebody has, or maybe this heart tattoo might be something similar that a group of friends have gotten. So, it narrows it down, but it doesn't necessarily identify the person. So having an additional tattoo, having an additional scar, mark, something will aid us. Now, if somebody's only got one tattoo or doesn't have any tattoos, then, we're just stuck with the scars and marks. And if folks don't have a bunch of those, well, now the identification process takes longer, and we're going to be going, more for the DNA. We're going to have, family members provide us with samples of DNA, and we'll see if we have familial DNA traits. But that's more of a topic for a different class and a different day. All right, so take a look through the material. Make sure you're reading the chapter. Don't forget about the quiz online, and there is an assignment this week, so take some time to work on that. If you have any questions, as always, I'm available for phone calls, emails, or stop in and see me at the Public Safety Training Center. Otherwise, I will talk to you next week.